There are really very few people doing research on this. When I started, I think I was probably one of the first Americans to start, and now there are 4 of us that, if you will Google, you'll find my name and 3 other people, but the other 3 people came after I came. And I have to admit that a colleague out of Spain contacted me, and that sort of jump-started my global point of view. So my first publication already got some attention in Europe, and it sort of just built from there. Women make up half of the population. They drive 80% of the consumption. And if their voices become more a part of the messaging is going to become more realistic to how women experience the world and not sort of a fantasy of what's to be experienced. And I also think that will reap huge rewards for brands. People are longing for authentic messaging that speaks to them in ways that they feel they really are. And I think if women are driving the consumption, bringing in those points of views robustly into creative and strategy is really going to help. The data is run with great rigor, but it's data that is pulled from the industry itself. These numbers are the industry's numbers. I'm not pulling them from one agency that I like better and another agency that I like better and another agency over here. This is a holistic pool of industry data. This is the industry's own numbers, and it's really shocking to me that no one has done this before. So I'm here waiting for the industry to ask me, what are our numbers? A lot of times when you do work on gender, there's this perception that somehow you don't like men or you have a problem with men. And I love men. I think that needs to come from the top down and from the bottom up. That you can't just have the women who are frustrated and women who want to really see change in creative, making noise and trying to facilitate change. It's not going to work. So you need buy-in from the top, and it needs to sort of come together at the same time. So I think that's really important. I also think finding what I like to call sort of champions. So someone who really believes that it's important to have more women in creative, more diversity in general in creative. And that could be a woman, it could be a man, it could be a person of color, but just someone who has more power and is really championing this movement. And if you can partner with them as a young female creative, that's really going to make a big difference. I think that it is getting worse. I think the whole concern around diversity in advertising has really created a lot of tension in the industry. In fact, I was at an agency in New York recently trying to see if I might be able to work with them to do some work on diversity, so broader diversity. I don't consider male-female diversity, but if we're talking about racial diversity, ethnic diversity, gender identification, just people who aren't white, there it was really hard, really hard. They don't want to have public discussions about it. So we'll see if I make progress going down that path, but that's going to be a real hard nut to crack, really hard.